While many of us have spent the last few years working from home and catching up on a few box sets, Kate Spencer has been playing the role of Grace in Corrie, worked as an estate agent, a ticket seller, a drama school lecturer, run marathons, and got engaged. Or so she says anyway, because if you've been enjoying watching her playing manipulative Grace Vickers, it might be hard to believe a single word that comes out of her mouth. Fortunately, I've got her here with me today to chat about this whirlwind of a time she's had on the cobbles since 2019. Kate, welcome to the podcast.
That was great. I love
it. No, you are now. How are you doing? How are you?
I'm good.
Lovely to see you today. Good. What? How have you? Do you have a nice Christmas?
It was good. It was busy. Probably a bit like everyone, just because you haven't seen so many people in so long, and then kind of reunited. You want to fit everything in. So we did 2 Christmases. One at my partner's family's house in South Wales, and then one in my family's house in Derbyshire. So split it, and then just busy, just seeing everyone. Yeah. And then you just get tired, and then there's the whole time, and you just don't know what day it is, and and then whether you should go out or not go out.
Yeah. So how would you describe your 2 years on Corrie?
It's so hard because there's so many words that come to mind, like whirlwind, odd, surprising, unexpected, like so much. Because when I first got cast as Grace, I knew I was only meant to be in for a certain amount of time, and I knew my ending. So I knew that I wasn't going to be Tiana's mum. So in my head, I was only going to be in it for like 9 months on and off. And then obviously COVID hit, so that extended it a little bit and put a break on all filming. And then I just remember reading one of the scripts and she was pregnant. And I was like, maybe, is she going? Is she not? What's happening with that? So it was, and I've actually, throughout the 2 years, I spent more time during the COVID era than in non-COVID times. So I've actually, most of the time that I was filming was with masks until the take, and socially distanced and lateral flowing and everything like that, and PCR if we are getting closer. So it was odd because of that, because it just wasn't the normal way of filming that they've been doing it for the past 60 years. Not really socializing with other people in the green room, because we all had to kind of stay in our own dressing rooms and things like that. So it was odd, but it was also amazing. I learned so much and met some really awesome people. So it was
had you been much of a Corrie viewer before getting the part of Grace?
So when I was younger, it's really funny. My mum's obsessed, and has been since forever. It was always her dream for me to be on Corrie. When we were younger, me and my sister actually decided, we're really close in age, when it was the time when we're deciding who gets to sit in the front. Everyone always has arguments like, no, I want to sit in the front. No, you want to sit in the front. Yeah. We decided that I was going to sit on the front on Coronation Street days. So this is because we always used to watch Coronation Street. So I used to sit in the front Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday when it was on Sundays. Yeah. So I got 4 days, she got 3 days, but she got a Saturday. So that was we used to watch it all the time when we were younger. My mum's obsessed, and it was great. So it was just really awesome when it came up. It was just like, what?
and getting the job on the show wasn't the first time you'd met one of the cast, is it? Am I right in thinking you had an encounter with Sally Dinovo at a restaurant once?
Yeah, in Chicago.
Random.
It was. So, I know. I studied in Chicago for 5 months as part of my course at drama school, and I spotted her in, I think it was either the Hard Rock Cafe or the Rainbow Cafe, or one of those, Rainforest Cafe or something like that. And I saw her, and I was like, I need to get her, because my mum's obsessed. I was like, I need to try and get her autograph. So I did that thing where, when people are eating, and I was like, I'm so sorry I was really sorry to interrupt. I think I was probably about 19, 20 at the time. I was like, can I just get your autograph if possible? And she signed it on a napkin, and I kept it for 3 months, and then sent it, gave it to my mum when I came back to the UK. She was lovely. And then when I bumped into Sally when we were filming, I was like, I actually met you 10 years ago. In America, and I got you to sign a napkin for me to give to my mum.
Funny. Did she remember, or did she say she remembered?
I don't think she said she remembered, but she was like, oh, your mum must be really, really proud of you now. I was like, she is. I was like, I can't expect you to remember. It was 10 years ago. It was very odd.
So that was quite a bold move, going to speak to one of the cast members. So were you not particularly starstruck in meeting these people you've been watching on the TV for all this time?
I think when I first met them when I was filming, it was, I was starstruck, but I try not to kind of be too, like, I was just trying to be myself.
Yeah.
And to a degree, you've also got a job to do. And they're just people. Like, they're lovely, generous, experienced, wonderful people. But they are just people. So it was odd. Like, I mean, David Platt, Jack the Shepherd, his character's like my age, so I just remember watching him from like grow up at the same time as I did. So it's just really odd because I was like, oh, I used to watch you, and like Sarah Platt in the giving birth and all stuff like that. Like, I remember it so vividly in the Richard Hillman, you and me always, that bit. I like, there's certain moments that are just so clear in my mind, and when you see them, it's like, oh my gosh, like I watched you on TV when I was like 7 and was like, yeah. So it is very odd.
Was there anybody in particular that you were especially excited or even nervous about meeting?
I think probably Sally I was the most excited about, just because of the whole and also Jane, who plays Leanne, because I worked with her real life husband on a play a couple of years ago, so I was really excited. So I just met her very briefly at the time, but I was really excited to meet her. I don't think so. I think generally I was just excited more than, I think I was nervous to be there in its entirety, but I think I remember that people are just people. So I wasn't especially nervous to meet anyone else.
And a lot of your time at the beginning of the show involved working alongside the actors playing the various members of the Bailey family, who had also only just come into the programme themselves, hadn't they, really? Was that helpful for you, being involved with people who are also, you know, just got a bit of a head start over you?
Absolutely, yeah. And any questions I had, they were so super helpful, because I hadn't done that much screen work beforehand. So I remember I got the call sheet and I was like, what does NS mean next to my name? And then Ryan was like, oh, but you're not speaking in that scene. And I was like, oh, that's what it means. So they were super helpful with stuff that I just didn't really have a clue about. And just really lovely people just to be around generally, and obviously act with.
Was it important for you that you were playing a key role alongside Coronation Street's first black family?
I think so, yeah. I mean, it's such a huge new great addition, and it's so important and relevant to our times to show who is actually represented. So that's been really important, I think, and it's a really lovely thing to always have, to kind of take away, just to know that you were part of that, is really, really lovely and privileged, really.
Did any of the stories related to race that you went through, like the racial profiling story, did any of that strike a chord with you? Have you ever experienced anything similar?
I haven't. Well, I kind of put it into two sections. I kind of I call it like active and passive racism. So in terms of kind of active racism, in terms of like if someone's shouting at you down the street or something like that. And then passive is when it might happen, but you're not massively aware of it, maybe, or it happens. So I haven't personally, I feel very lucky that I haven't experienced any active racism. I might have experienced passive racism, but I'm not necessarily aware of it, and I don't, like, I won't take it in, sort of thing. So I wouldn't say they necessarily resonated with me as such, but they were, as in with my experiences, but I still resonate with the whole kind of situation and the character. Of course. But again, it's super important that those stories are being told.
And do you think Coronation Street managed to strike the right balance between the issue stories that the Baileys were getting, including the racism, and just the general, you know, classic soapy drama stories as well?
I think so, yeah. And especially like with mine and Aggie's relationship with Lorna.
Love that.
That's kind of the classic so mother-daughter-in-law stuff, which was really like so much fun to play. And Lorna's she's so funny. Like she's such she's just this light. She's just like a burst of energy and a burst of light, and she's just so much fun to be around. She's just such a lovely person.
Yeah, and she had you she had your number right from the start, didn't she? Did Aggie? Because she knew there was something not quite right about Grace, and she was right. Honestly, that twist where it turned out that that neither you nor Michael were Tiana's parents. That was amazing. That was one of my favourite moments of the year, honestly. So you say you knew that right from the start, did you? That you weren't going to be Tiana's mum?
Yeah. So I knew when I got cast that was the case.
Yeah.
So whenever I was doing anything throughout, I always had that in the back of my mind. Whenever I was, whatever performance I was giving, that was always at the back of my mind.
Did the others know?
Because I know loads of.
Did the other Baileys know?
Yes. Yeah, the Baileys did. Yeah. I don't know if any of the bigger cast did, but the Baileys knew. But yeah, it was so funny because I kept getting loads of messages and everyone's like, she's not right. There's something not right about her. Or I'm not sure about it. And I was like, yes, you are correct.
Yeah, because there were lots of theories online. And I think before the reveal came, lots of people had thought, oh, I bet Michael's not the dad. But I don't think many people were completely right about you not being the mums. It must have been so fun to watch all the theories online. It
was. That's exactly right. Look, quite a few people were like, oh, I bet it's not the dad. But then they were like, oh, but I didn't realise she wasn't going to be the mum either. So yeah, that was quite fun.
How did you find the fan reaction to Grace in general? Because I can imagine it can't always be easy to play someone who's clearly not supposed to be likeable.
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, I hope I'm very different to Grace. And that's fun to play. So it's nice to play someone that's completely different to your character. And she does have she is quite troubled, as we've seen. So it is quite nice to play a baddie to a degree. I think people's reactions to her, whenever I meet anyone, anyone's always really, really lovely. They always tell me that they hate my character. They're like, oh, she's awful, but she's also quite great that she's awful. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, she is. So the reactions have kind of been as expected, I guess. I haven't had any case of people being mean to me.
Good.
They don't like my character, but that's fine. Not a lot of people would, and I'd be a little bit shocked if they did really, really. I mean, quite a few people quite like her, and they're like, oh yeah, you go against Aggie, yeah, you bring Aggie down. But that's quite fun.
So what do you think drove Grace to lie and keep up the lie about her not being Tiana's real mum? Did you have to kind of consider that when you were playing the role?
Yeah, so I think Grace throughout thinks very, very short term. She just doesn't think about the consequences of her actions. I mean, when she first saw Michael, she was just like, I got hurt in the first place, but therefore I want him to hurt. And she just didn't think about it, and she just didn't think things through. And then I genuinely did think that she did fall in love with him, and she did fall for him. And then she was like, what do I do now? Like, I've absolutely messed up, because she didn't think about the consequences of her actions. It's like that phrase, when you cut off your nose to spite your face? Yeah. And she just doesn't think about the long-term effects of her actions. So I was thinking that was kind of driving everything throughout, and being like, oh, so it definitely was a thing that was very relevant and at the forefront of my mind and my decision making. Grace.
Do you think that she and Michael could have worked as a couple in the long term?
I don't think so, because she doesn't think about the consequences of her actions. She just doesn't think about anyone else but herself to a degree, and what she wants. That's always her priority. And bless Michael, he just tries so hard, and he wants to please people. He wants people to be happy. He wants the family unit, and she just isn't on board with that. So I just don't feel like they would fit well, because she won't him in the way that he needs to be supported. She's just a bit take, and she just doesn't give him what he needs. And I think he realised that. Even though he wants her there for glory, or wanted her there for glory, I think the bigger picture, he knows that actually, if it's a choice between glory and their relationship, he's always going to pick glory.
Yeah. Doomed from the start then.
Yeah,
basically.
pretty
So
much.
just before your departure, we started to see another kind of side to Grace, one who would rather go out shopping or hanging at the Christmas market or whatever. Did you find that a little bit ironic, considering the length she went to pass off Tiana as her own daughter at the start of the time on the show, and now she's not wanting anything to do with her own kid?
Yeah, but I think when with the Tiana part, with the Tiana one, she was doing it more to get back at Michael and then to get back with Michael. So that was the underlying kind of driving force. And then just before I left, she knew that she couldn't have Michael anymore, and that Michael didn't want that family unit with her. Therefore, she was like, "Fine, I'll just prioritize myself then." Go out drinking, have a few babies.
Hang with Bay. Is it Bernie you were hanging around with, wasn't it, for the last few weeks? Yeah, that's right. Would you have stayed on Corrie longer if you could have done?
I think for Grace, it was time for her to go. I think for the Bailey family, it was time for her to go because they needed to have some distance, I think, from her and her awful ways. Also, I love theatre and I wanted to try and do some more theatre stuff. That's my background and things like that. So I think for both the character and for me, it was time.
Yeah, okay. If you could have stayed longer though, or if things had worked out differently, are there any characters or actors that you would have liked to have spent more time with?
Trying to think who I think would be a good influence on Grace, or if anyone would be a good influence.
I don't think anyone on Weatherfield's a good influence.
No, that's very fair. Wow, it's an interesting question. I think if she kind of got a job in either Roy's or the pub, or had some more interactions with people rather than a big storyline basis, just like a interweaving kind of way, that might have been really fun and really interesting for her, just to see different parts of her personality rather than just her love life and the baby.
Yeah, that's what was quite interesting to see her and Bernie at the end, I suppose. So it wasn't just you and the Baileys. Well, because I was trying to think, like, sometimes I guess if you come to work at Corrie, you'll make friends on the cast but never get a chance to perform alongside them. Were you able to still kind of make friends with other cast members despite all the COVID restrictions, or was it more a case of coming in, acting, then going home?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I don't live in Manchester, I live in Nottingham, so I'm not based up there either. And then because of COVID, we couldn't really socialise at Coronation Street because of at the set or anything because of COVID. And then outside obviously we're mostly in lockdowns, so we couldn't see anyone there. So I didn't meet that many people, if I'm honest, because equally when I first started, I was just a guest, so I was there for a little bit and then left for a bit, and I was just coming and going. So I met a lot of people, and the tech team are incredible. Just everyone in the production side of it are just absolutely amazing. And the actors as well that I did meet and did socialise with in the green room, in the cafeteria and stuff like that. But not hugely, mostly because I don't live in Manchester, and just because of the nature of being there during COVID. We obviously had various restrictions that we just needed to follow.
Of course. So, moving away from Corrie then, tell me a bit about you, your life away from the cameras. What makes Kate Spencer tick?
Yeah. So I run a lot, or I did run a lot. So a big runner. So I did, during lockdown, I did 15 equivalent to half marathons. So 21 kilometers. And then it was my 30th birthday in November. And I decided I wanted to run a 30k on my 30th birthday.
Wow.
So that was fun. I mean, at the time, I wasn't enjoying it. Well, I was, but I was also very tired. My sister cycled along with me with a bag of Tanfastics, so she was like feeding me sweets and energy throughout, which was very welcomed. So training, I love training. I really like dancing. I used to dance a lot when I was younger. I did a lot of Zumba. So I love Zumba. Like I love it. Like it's just another expressive way of showing how you're feeling, just getting your body out there and moving. It's great. I love that. I love the standard kind of theatre and cinema stuff. I work at the box office, like you said, in Derby, which I really love. I love meeting and working with people, which is really important to me.
Yeah, why did you decide to keep going with those other, like with the box office when you were in Corrie? Is it just important for you to keep your feet on the ground, or I don't know, what was the idea behind that?
I love, so I am an actor and that's primarily what I want to do, but there are some things that I don't get from acting, which I get from other areas. So in terms of meeting and working with just everyday people and customer service, I really, really like that. I like meeting and working and talking to new people, and especially in a theatre kind of venue, so like from the box office. So yeah, I started there over 5 years ago now, and in between all my acting jobs, like I did a UK tour and I went on West End, and then I came back and went on box office like a week later. Like I really, really like it. I also get bored really easily, so I like just to keep busy and learning new skills and learning new stuff really. So like throughout lockdown, I worked in an estate agents, which was really great and interesting, and I learned a lot of in a completely different field.
Of course, yeah.
And then I lecture as well, and I really enjoy that because I learn from them as much as hopefully they learn from me.
Did you find that you got recognised much as being Grace from Corrie when you were doing these side jobs?
I do. It's mostly more now, to be honest, because the estate agents was during lockdowns most of the time, so I wasn't really seeing that many people apart from viewing houses. I'm wearing masks most of the time. So if anything, it's been the last couple of months more than it was before because we just weren't going out and seeing people. But I also everyone says I look quite different. I know my hair is quite similar, but I normally wear glasses and I'm quite tall. People are generally just like, no, it's not her. She probably lives in Manchester.
Well, you're also an awful lot smilier than Grace as well, aren't you? She's a bit of a sourpuss, Grace was.
She is. Everyone's like, oh, you're a lot nicer in person. I was like, I hope so.
Well, even on your Twitter bio, you describe yourself as a full-time optimist, don't you?
Yes, I am. I try to be anyway. I know sometimes you need a bit of a down day, you need a little bit of a cry, but especially during lockdown. But I'm very optimistic, and I try and look on the bright side of things.
Are you optimistic about the future?
I am, yeah. I think hopefully we've had the worst of it in terms of the pandemic and generally, and also like you've always got your memories of stuff that we've done that's been great, and in terms of my own like personal future, everyone's got their own definition of success. So and I think that's quite like individual. So even if someone else doesn't think you're doing really well or doing certain things, then actually it's like, but that's what I want to do. So some people are like, why are you still working on box office? Like, why are you still doing that? And I'm like, well, I really like doing that, and I'd rather do that than sit at home and do nothing, really.
Fair play.
So yeah.
Do you think that this future might include a return to the cobbles one day for Grace, or is that a closed door for you now?
I have absolutely no clue. It's kind of, it just depends on what they see the future of the Bailey, where they see the future of the Bailey family going, really.
They do sometimes like to kill off the mums, don't they?
Or in like 20 years time or something like that, when Gloria's like hit her 18th birthday or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I hope you manage to get some good projects in the future, back on the stage as well. You said you wanted to do.
Yes, I've done a little bit already since leaving, and we've done an audio play and other bits and bobs, which is great. Like I say, I like to keep busy.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for coming on the podcast today, Kate. It's been absolutely lovely speaking to you and finding out about you and what makes you tick, and just all about your story, about your whirlwind of a weird time in Corrie.
Thank you. It was a joy. Thank you very much.
Lovely. Well, bye-bye then.
Bye. See you later.